unlike this set that we just watched, where there was a lot of forward pressure and early pressure from the members of Moonlight versus FTWin, they're not getting those initial picks. They're not getting that first opening in that neutral state. That's when FTWin is going to be putting the pressure back on, and then Moonlight's going to have to try and climb back. And I think that sets a very different tone and pace to the set that Moonlight has to either find a way around or adjust their play so that they can get that for themselves.
Who is going to be able to adapt first? Is it going to be FTWin being able to stick with the strategy they had ahead of time? Or is it going to be Moonlight able to slightly change their game plan for what the next thing is here? And yeah, I mean, that'll be largely what happens for these two teams that certainly know each other, but do they know how each other is playing today? In this next best of 5, it does not leave a lot of room for error.
No, it does not. And I'm sure that these teams, right? I mean, we started around what, 1 o'clock. These teams are probably gassed.
Buddy, if you think they're gassed, if they're gassed, they've got another thought coming with the next 8 months of league play. But, 8 weeks of league play.
Well, but that's what I mean, right? Because I don't. Did these two play in the ladder yesterday?
No.
Okay.
They did not.
Still, it's been a long tournament. They've had a lot of game 5 sets, right? Both of these teams. They're gonna need to try and just buckle up one more time and try and find their way into grands, but like just sneaking around each other. I'm expecting that FTWin's gonna come out of the gates swinging, actually. I think that Moonlight is gonna have to try and figure out some way to get another set of wind in their sails to convince themselves that FT, like, again, it's just they've got a mental block right now. They've been playing a lot. They finally are feeling confident in themselves, but FTWin's gonna shake them up a bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, certainly true. The one level of reasoning I have is typically the team that waits does need a game or two to warm up, regardless of what they were doing, whether it was solo queue, not quite playing kind of with your brain off, you know, just continuing to try to keep your hands fresh, or whether it was taking a break to go get a bite to eat real fast, which evidently Omega has done between the last match and this match. We're getting word. But even still, right? There's usually a game or two where that warm-up happens. And if Moonlight can keep the pedal to the metal and punish FTWin just like PXG was doing earlier, I think there is some level of success, especially in these first 2 games. I just question, how replicable is it for Moonlight? They can always find one match. They can sometimes find 2 matches. Can they find enough to get them into grand finals here today?
I'm curious what the starting stage is, because I actually think that that's going to have a really big impact on how this set goes, right? Because it's going to determine the counter picks, it's going to determine, right? And it's kind of interesting, right? We've been questioning the counter pick strategy from Moonlight especially, right? Like, why are they picking zones? But it makes sense because it's forcing the later games to go towards the ones that they're comfortable with, right? Like, just like we saw with Aura Jackson, right? They picked a zones game, and then all of a sudden, like, Aura Jackson can't go back to zones, right? Like zones has been used twice. Like, they just can't even touch it anymore, right? And now they're forcing things into the long run to be in their favor. So I'm wondering if FTWin is going to try and maybe figure out some map mode that they have that's going to convincingly go in their favor, that they can counterpick, so that they can use zones later or something along those lines.
We'll see. The current hover before a lobby error was Hagglefish Market is game 1. I don't know for sure. I don't know confidently that's the one. I'm just going with what I see off the screen. Okay, maybe. Oh, no, we're not going to see the stage. Okay, there we go. Stage is coming up. Yes, okay, it is Hagglefish Market. Can't confirm. Can't confirm. That was correct. So I think, like, to that end, if you're talking about this stage in particular, Basil's Charger can play a huge role if it's set up properly and space is bought for it. On the flip side, there is some level of creativity that Sam could have, sticking with the vanilla Splatoon stamper, going for the Zipcaster, and diving on top of Basil. Also, I'm very curious to know what other counterplay might happen over the course of this one. I don't actually know if Kyo is going to prefer the Dreadbringer here for this one, or if he might try to prefer something else. I imagine that Kyo's the one that is going to flex around, but I don't know to what, especially if it's in response of trying to find another counter to a charger. Like, the answer could be Frozen Pro. I don't really want to see it.
No, I think Biscuit is going to completely stick to Pen this set. I have the hunch of hunches, right? Like, especially after how everything went against PXG and everything. I don't see it, right? I think that they're gonna want it fresh for Grands. It's just probably what they're thinking. And so I think you're right. I think they might go Zipcaster. I think Sam's gonna go Zipcaster. I think that Basil might pick V-Charger to go for Vac, not realizing that Sam is gonna go for the Zip Splatana.
Not on zones.
You would think, but I feel like Haggle is the one exception to, oh, well, don't pick Vac on anything but Rainmaker. I feel like this is the one exception.
I don't see the vision here.
No? You could just walk forward. You just get to walk forward through the zone.
Then you get Zipcasted and you're still done.
Right, but that's if they don't realize that Sam is going to go for that.
They have to realize it, right? They have to realize it's an option that's presented.
Right.
And I imagine, I actually don't know, because I was flipping back and forth between like 5 different matches that were happening all at once. Maybe Sam pulled it out in their first match against whatever.
I don't think so. Wait, why?
There's nothing going on in Twitch. Everyone, you all think you're really funny. After Popgun forbade you from being hype, you are continuing to be hype. And actually, I'm going to bring the house down for a moment because this shouldn't be exciting.
Could you elaborate, please?
No, I won't. Because that would be more excitement.
Profound.
That's true.
Listen, there's a lot that can happen. And we just need to watch it. Right? We don't need to add to it. We don't need to...
That's what I'm saying.
We don't need to be the peanut gallery on this lovely convention of minds and of players. We don't need to cause controversy, cause chaos, humdrum, if you will.
Hey, that's not our job. The game already does enough of that.
Exactly. So let's find our zen here on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. We are people here together.
Tell you who needs to find their zen. It's Moonlight and FTWin, who are probably more Moonlight than FTWin, knowing that their nemesis is playing against them in losers finals right now.
Okay. All right. Are we done with that bit?
I think we're done with that bit because I do think we're readying up in the lobby. I think the weapon counter has happened. For behind the scenes, folks, there was a lobby disconnect and everyone had to get back in, and we finally are now going for real. So hopefully it all comes through this time. But that was the slight delay, and that's the reason why we're now not talking instead of talking, because we've run out of things to talk about because there's enough set up for this.
I think that the one thing that we can talk about right now is whether or not these players and the members of the community can actually create shareholder value for...
That was the least forced. That was the least forced.
God.
Whoever made that bet, I hope you're happy. Let's go. Losers finals. It's FTWin versus Moonlight. Basil sticking with the leader here. Will she be able to find an opening pick? Doesn't seem likely, although meanwhile, look, Omega works up the right side. Kyo is taken down instantly here, and now look at what else is about to transpire. Moonlight might have the opportunity to move forward. Shadow joining from the right side here, and it's Sam on the back foot, popping this Booyah Bomb, trying to force something to happen and come through here, and Sam is cutting down Basil. There's the pick that was needed, and FTWin maybe has a chance here, but even still, it's going to be a scrum back and forth over top of the zone.
I mean, either way, FTWin found a wedge, and that is the last thing that you want to see if you're Moonlight, right? Because you're trying to play slow, you're trying to play solid, and the fact that within the matter of 20 seconds after getting a really clean forward moment, a forward play with Omega, they were able to find their way back in. That's not what you want to be seeing. That you're not going to be feeling good about this if you're Moonlight, and you can see it in the play, right? Ever since that moment, FTWin has been in control. There's been a lot of orange ink on the floor, and this is specials and cooler ready for a hold for FTWin. And Moonlight needs to find a wedge of their own. It looks like Basil is going to be the one doing so with 2 clean picks, K-Bot.
And now you see Nolan go forward in the Kraken. Does have to be careful here. Actually looks like able to take down 2 and stays alive with the wall going down there as well. Moonlight has been escorted through by the Kraken. And now Basil's in position here to try to find a jump shot. Nope, not that time. As the rest of Moonlight is continuing their forward. Tricky little wave breaker position. Meanwhile, Kyo dives into the reef slider. Basil's going to shut that down immediately after it happens, meaning that FD wins 2 down with very little to show for it. Make that 3 down with very little to show for it. Moonlight is continuing to play on the defensive side.
I think that you're maybe onto something, K-Bot. I feel like this is not the FTWin we saw a few games ago, where they were clearly at an exceeding caliber. I feel like they're disconnected. They're using specials in weird places at weird timings, and they're not quite finding everything that they need to put on the pressure that they're used to. But Sam is finally putting on that forward aggression, making sure that these players cannot sit in comfy spots. And this is what they need to do in the long run if they want to shut down Moonlight.
It took FTWin 2 games of PXG blowing them out in the last series that they played today before they really woke up and brought it back to a Game 5 situation. I expect that could be the case here, but it'll look a little bit different because it'll look like Moonlight is fighting tooth and nail to pull it back through. Meanwhile, FTWin control of the zone. 15 ticks of the timer here left to go. And all of a sudden, it's their game as Omega and Nolan are coming through from the backside. Actually, FTWin goes 1 down. That's Hexen, and the Pete comes on top of the zone in order to cap it at the last possible second. 2 members of FTWin down to follow, and it's Sam dancing on this right side for his life.
Once they timed that perfectly, Shadow was able to collapse and help them on the zone just at that last split second to get the paint down that they needed without, and because of the chaos, was able to walk forward to there. This is perfect, and now it's only 30 ticks left for Moonlight instead of FTWin, who was previously in clear control of this game. The Reef Slider is going to have something to say about that, but I don't believe that was coolered. And now, FTWin trying to find a corner to hold. Biscuit's trying to dive forward. I just don't know what they're trying to attempt here. They're going too many down too often. They don't have the penalty to try and play like this, and now Moonlight's in position to completely box them out.
Here's Basil again, bought with plenty of space. Shadow going on the side, but now Hexen challenges the leader, and Nolan gets taken down. The Booyah Bomb is thrown towards the zone, which allows for the cap to come through, but FTWin now has gone 2 down without Moonlight actually going many down at all. They've just backed on away, which has allowed them to take back control of the zone instantly here. The cooler's about to go down out of Biscuit. We'll see just how much further pressure that FTWin's able to go for. They're looking for 1 more clean away of the zone. It's going to come down to this here. Kyo's got the Reef Slider at the ready for the cheese here, and Hexen's on the top pushing away. Here comes the Reef Slider. It's going in. There's the cap. Is it a little bit too early? No, it isn't, because it's a wipeout for FTWin, and FTWin holds on to the first game.
I cannot believe that that is how it ends, because it was Moonlight's to win. Although, no, never mind.
No,
that Booyah.
no,
Okay. I was so convinced that they had dropped the ball. But FTWin is playing mind games, I think, with Moonlight right now. That was crazy amounts of pressure on the zone that was not solid, right? Like they were making their way forward, capping, backing up, making their way forward, capping, backing up. And somewhere along the lines, that cycling allowed them to find the spot where they were like, oh, here's where we can actually get some ground and get some footing and allow Kyo to get all the way in. And at that point, there were too many down so that it wasn't able to get stopped. It wasn't able to get punished. And that was how you needed.
Well, great work from FTWin, holding on to that one and coming up away with it. I will say, I think like there is some level of adjustment, right? I mean, Moonlight can't just play the exact same way that we're playing versus Oro Jackson, but I do think there is some merit as well to trying to find that. On a different stage, maybe Moonlight will still have it. I imagine probably thinking about, to your point earlier, Magic, going to Splat Zone's Mahi again, shutting down and having that extra range on the tight quarter stage that's going to allow them to be that much more effective. The only thing I would worry about, of course, is Kyo's Reef Slider. We've seen the zones cheese time and time again, right, over the course of the day today. And it's something that I imagine that Moonlight is going to be maybe also a little worried about. So maybe they won't be as willing to go back there, but
yeah,
it seems like it was their first counter pick for a reason.
I think in this situation where the Reef Slider did cause them so much chaos, especially during that first set that these two teams played, they're not going to go for it this time. I feel pretty confident, especially after the last set, that they're thinking, no, all right, we could do Rainmaker, Undertow. Like, yeah, it hasn't worked out super well in the past, but I think this is the time to bring it out as our bread and butter counter pick, to get some wind in our sails and force FTWin to try and find either a clan blitz or a tower control, and then we're set for the rest of the set. I think that's what they're going to be thinking, but obviously they could just go back to Mahi and say, we're confident with the leader. We're confident with our original strategy. Oh!
Robo Ramen. Are they thinking the tent is better into FTWin?
They can't.
Or are they just like, maybe they just like trying to play front to back here?
Oh, maybe that's more so what they're thinking. Or they're trying to combine the two, right? Like maybe they're trying to actually go for the E-Leader tent.
No. Who's going to play cooler? They need a cooler, especially for Omega. I don't think they can. They're just going to give away the cooler. I don't think they're running. Listen, Magic, if they haven't run coolerless yet today, they're not doing it here. I
hear you. I do. Maybe Omega has like a pocket zap or something. I don't know.
No. Come on now.
I'm cooking.
No, you're cooking too hard, Magic. This is losers finals.
I never said it was good or bad.
Yeah, well.
I think that you have a good idea here, and that maybe the tent umbrella will prevent Kyo from reef sliding too often, right? Well, could put the blocker in the way, literally, physically, to prevent them from capping the zone. No, I don't think they're gonna go tent. I don't know.
They didn't, Magic. It's on our screen. They didn't go tent. Omega's gone back over to the Wiper, which is perhaps a little bit more interesting. Again, maybe thinking for the Ultra Stamp a little bit more on this front to back. And Kyo's back on the horns for the double crab tank here. Interesting not to be opting for the Reef Slider here. Early 2 down, though, out of Moonlight. They are already storming the bases.
Storming the castle is Moonlight, and they're going to be able to make sure that it is not a storm, that is simply a squall. This is already so much potential chaos and frustration on the side of FTWin. Okay, Dylan with the tech, that's crazy. This is exactly how I want them to be playing, right? Confident, moving forward, moving together as a unit, and not just trying to work around weird play times and timings, right? And Omega being on the other side, trying to make things work with the Wiper. I really think that this is Omega's weapon And he's been showing that it is so good and so strong and so powerful, especially in that haggle game, right? Like, still on that wiper, still just trying to do what he needs to do with a weapon that is fast and furious.
Now, though, FTWin's turn. Sam in the Zipcast, looking deep into enemy territory here, trying to find something at all. Finds one onto Shadow, and Basil is still scrambling here on the back lines. It's enabled Kyo to come up and join the party as well. Meanwhile, someone from Moonlight takes back control of the zone. FTWin's penalty is applied and stalled out. Now, Omega comes up from behind.
No!
Finds 2 suddenly. And all of a sudden, it's right back to the hands of Moonlight here. Omega on a very wide angle right now, looking to try to get something done here while the rest of FTWin is pressured. There's the hammer toss. It finds 1. 2 down situation here, and that's both of the crab tanks down, which means that FTWin doesn't have a tool to get back into the zone. Nolan's going to pop this Kraken, continue to stall out, dive in, look for something more while the rest of FTWin rotates around the rest of the stage. But they have to make a play here very quickly if they want to stay alive in this stage.
They do, and they're going to be able to find it. That's the Zipcaster, that's the crab tank on the zone, but Sam goes down, and that's still too much yellow paint for FTWin's comfort. Kyo's finally on the zone, is able to put down some burst, but is going to go into the crab anyways instead. It is going to try and find pigs instead of trying to paint, and Sam is able to do so as well. They're finally able to put enough pressure to back up Moonlight so they can get things on the zone. Even though Omega's diving forward, this is crazy. Can I also just say, I feel like I'm getting deja vu. Remember how Jordan was the one that was behind FTWin and forced them to turn around and screw them over the last time they played PXG? This is exactly what Moonlight is going for this time, taking a book out of PXG's book.
We'll see if it's going to be successful for them, though, because there's still 2 minutes left in this game in order to turn this one around for FTWin. They still have control of the zone, and while Kyo's crab tank might be shredded, even still, FTWin is in position to continue being a threat. Jumps away again is Omega, and Basil is trying to peer over the wall, but is getting pressured by Kyo. What else is happening here? As Shadow's now continuing to mop up the floor. 2 down on the back lines for FTWin. That's the cooler. Shadow picks up yet another one here, and Moonlight's in possession to come roaring around the corner. Although Shadow gets taken down, not able to move up very far forward at all. Basil's already forced to retreat, and Sam is running after the leader on the other side.
I think that this is exactly what I wanted to see from Omega. For months, I wanted to see the actual off-angle aggression, pull the aggro away without sacrificing the pressure. And that's exactly what he's been doing, and Nolan's able to put on so many more Krakens, is able to put on so much more aggression because of it. Look at this, already pushing them forward, and is able to allow Shadow and Basil to follow up. Even though Shadow has to jump away, this is still a winning fight for Moonlight, and that's a wipeout, and there have the base with only 50 ticks left to go.
Have to hold on to this now for 40 more seconds. Sam going down early is a huge start to that. Kyo's gonna get traded down, but Shadow is taken out critically. It looks like the cooler was already down ahead of time, so that's good news for Moonlight to the saving grace. Meanwhile, starting to see the jumps away. Basil's gonna be the next one pressured back thanks to the crab tanks already coming out, and there's a shot right on top of Biscuit. I don't know if the cooler actually, no, the cooler did go down for FTWin. 15 seconds left to play. Sam's back in the Zipcast here, trying to find something to get towards Basil in the air, trying to go over top of the wave breaker, but it's not quite enough. Omega gets taken down. Nolan's gonna take out Joe. That means that one of those crabs is down, and Moonlight takes the game over FTWin here in losers finals.
And this is exactly what we expect from these two teams, and I am shaking with excitement. This is so good. I was so disappointed, if I'm being honest, with how it turned out last time. With just a quick cleanup, I want these two teams to be enemies. I want these two teams to think of each other as their rivals, and this is what we need to see to make that happen. It is Omega doing everything that he can. It is Basil popping off at the right times. It is Nolan utilizing these Krakens in the right ways with so much perfect aggression in order to manage it. This is what we need to see.
18-2 for Shadow, 13-1 for Basil. Those are some winning KAs there. Again, protect the president when Basil's playing the E-Later is the name of the game. Can you build up the space? And most often, Basil wasn't playing as aggressive to the point where the crab tanks were going to be a threat. The crab tank is just slow enough where there's enough time for Basil to be able to adapt. That's one of the reasons actually why I was curious to know whether Kyo was going to move off to something that could better counter the leader. I'm thinking V-shot, quick and simple, pop the Zuka, it's going to go down almost instantly. But doesn't seem like that's something that Kyo's even thinking about right now. And instead, it's FTWin going back to everybody's favorite, tower control on Inkblood Art Academy. Woohoo!
I think what we're about to see is Hexen switch to V-shot and Kyo switch to the V-slosher. I think that's exactly what we're about to see, because I feel like Hexen is just so much more impactful when those Zukas are coming out and putting on that kind of pressure instead of trying to dip and dodge and roll around. And Kyo needs to just change up something, because as much as this Dreadringer is doing, there's a lot that it's not doing. And I think that's the key.
Hexen could even think about Rattler.
Okay. Bringing it all the way back to 2016. I see you.
Well, I mean, hey, if it ain't broke.
I mean,
It's Zuka.
It's Zuka, right?
It's Zuka into an E-Leader. Tale as old as time.
I mean, we saw it in SWS, right?
Yeah, I mean, but like, genuinely, I do think FTWin needs something to shut down Basil. That's the name of the game into E-Leader Cops. I think everyone is afraid of the E-Leader for the presence that it has on the stage. You have to pick something that can shut it down. And right now, FTWin hasn't quite found that answer, and it doesn't look like they're pulling out as drastic of changes as we're talking about Magic.
No, it does not. I agree. They need to find something, and maybe they think it is the Ink Strike and the Booyah instead of the Zipcaster, right? Like maybe they're thinking that it wasn't working last time. We just need to go with our displacement, and we need to just fight the way we've been fighting. That has been working. That we did to slow down Moonlight the first time, and so they're going to just stick to their old bread and butter. You know what? If that's the adjustment that they need to make to feel comfortable, to feel effective, that's fine. But sometimes it's not about comfort, K-Bot. Sometimes it's about understanding what's better and what's worse.
Oh, and Basil finds the punish on the Sam there. Unfortunate spot for the Booyah Bomb. Didn't displace Basil at all, and gives enough time to line up the shot here. Now Kyo dives forward. Surprise! Nolan gets taken down, and suddenly Moonlight is 2 down here. FTWin clawing back in the mid.
And one thing I want to talk about too is that it really has been 9 years between Hexen showing at the world as deadbeat that NA is a force to be reckoned with, and right now it has been 9 years of him being at the top of his game, playing at the highest of levels, and I think that that's something that's really special and something that I think could be a crazy kind of statistic, right? What other player has been winning as early as 2016 and has been winning as recent as 2025?
Gray, to that point.
Well, yeah.
But Gray, who awaits the winner here in Grand Finals, but nonetheless, Chaos and Pandemonium strikes. Omega comes away with 2 against FTWin, dives forward looking for Hexen, but Hexen holds his ground. Looking for one on top of this stack here on the right side. The strikes are coming out, and the crab tank soon to follow. Basil pushed further away, but nobody's infiltrated plat for FTWin. Now they're starting to make a play, and 2 go down, actually on both sides. 2 versus 2 now as FTWin continues pushing this tower towards this left side, but with Basil set up here, something's going to need to go for bats before the tower can clear around this elbow.
And this is, I think, the map mode that really, the stage that really specifies why Frozen Pro is being picked the way it is with this FTWin comp, is because you can just do so much poke and chip and AoE damage, especially with all of these displacement specials, these wide specials. You can force people completely back. There's nowhere that they can go. You either run into a Booyah or a Trip Strike or a Slosher Shot or a stamper flick or the AoE of the rapid, and at that point you just have to go backwards. And I think that that's the idea, and that's why it wasn't working when they were using different specials, when Kyo was on the Reef Slider, when they were on the Zipcast Stamper. And I think that the difference is really showing through here.
Basil dives, or Kyo, sorry, dives on top of Basil, takes down and will trade out his life for it, but even still, that's probably a play that you'll be happy for if your FTWin. Shadow's backed on away. Hexen gets taken down as Omega comes up with 2. The Ultra Stamp is out here looking for a 3rd, not quite able to happen, but Moonlight's able to clean up 1 more, and Sam will be forced to jump away. Moonlight maybe has some momentum here, but they don't have any specials to their name right now, so they have to be very careful at how they choose to approach the enemy side of the stage.
Here comes Moonlight. Here comes Moonlight. This is exactly what they want. Is Omega forward and Nolan in a different spot, and they're able to just work around each other's pressure to put on so much advantage. Oh, that could have been gorgeous from Omega, but that is at least is the lead and probably the checkpoint for Moonlight if they could just hold on a little bit longer. That was, oh, I felt it. I felt it in my bones that miss is just so hard to deal with.
Perhaps hard, but even still was able to distract for long enough to secure Moonlight the lead. Now, though, it's a 2-to-1 situation. FTWin is coming right back to it. They've got a handful of specials to their name here. One gets taken down, though, as Hexen is going to go down. And now, here's Nolan going on top of the tower, trying to shut down the push. Sam taken down on the front lines here as well. And FTWin is going to be forced to try to regroup. Will Moonlight be able to hold on to the middle of the stage here? Oh, one popped out against Nolan. That was Hexen. Takes down Nolan. Suddenly, it's 3 down for Moonlight. This Kyo's going to charge towards Basil once more. The strikes get thrown her direction. And with 12 seconds left to play, FTWin is making a move. They've got plenty of space towards this checkpoint. Shadow tries diving for it. Nolan is scrambling. Everyone from Moonlight is scrambling. And they can't come up with a cohesive plan and an answer for the tower. FTWin now is on match point.
How did they get 3 down? We were watching Basil's POV, and then all of a sudden you see all 3 of her teammates just go dark, and I just they were doing so well. They were winning so many of their fights. They were putting out the paint that they needed to work around FTWin's aggression, and then all of a sudden, all at once, it's gone. That was bizarre. I need to watch that back. I have no idea what happened.
I think that's the risk for some of, like, the way that, for example, that Nolan was positioning. Often, Nolan's job was to try to make sure that nobody was flanking from FTWin, which was a good idea because, as it turns out, FTWin wants to flank all of the time. That is literally in their team name, is basically what that boils down to. But nonetheless, if they continue to keep up that pressure, there are going to be times where Nolan doesn't have the time to react because he's taking a slightly more aggressive position, hugging up against the edge there on that right side. And if he's there constantly, FTWin knows that he's there constantly. That's why Hexen's able to drop down, catch him by surprise with a very quick time to splat on the dualies. And suddenly, that's one area of defense down. Then you zoom out and you look towards the other side of the stage where Omega and Shadow are trying to team up, but without the stamp, it could be very well the case that very quickly the rest of the chip damage of Splatana plus Slosher takes care of business, and all of a sudden you're 3 down with nothing to show for it. I mean, average E-leader experience is basically what that boils down to, is Basil watches everyone go down.
And usually she was in positions to manage that, right? To at least trade out or find some way to at least put the laser pressure on, right? But in that situation, it was just a perfect storm. She had to back up, everyone goes down, and now Moonlight, like you said, tournament point for them. This is it. And now they're going with tower control Mako Mart, which is how they took advantage and defeated Oro Jackson, and they're gonna try and do it again here, which is crazy to me. Crazy that they're convinced that this Mako Mart is going to be able to do it for them. Because if you're FTWin, you're thinking this is your playground.
I mean, Kyo probably thinking that it's his playground after playing Slosher for so many years, but even still, right? I think the leader plays a huge role. Any stage where the leader has such huge sightlines is going to be where Moonlight's going to try to go. And I think this fits that bill, right? If they can properly shut down some of those extra corridors and flank angles that they're trying to do to protect Basil, I think they're going to be just as successful here. And that must be the way that they're thinking as they look into this. Omega sticking on that wiper, not for the defensive capabilities of the decav and the bubble, but instead for the offensive pressure that that stamp can draw out. Seems like everything else is about the same, and Moonlight is on the ropes.
But I think that we're starting to see prime form Moonlight. I think that they've figured things out. They know exactly what they want, and they're able to try and just follow their execution. Even if it doesn't work out in the long run, I think that they can say they put it all out there. And we're going to have to see if they're able to manage it. Here comes FTWin, though, to force them to prove it. Hexen is able to go down off screen, and Sam is backing up. The members of Moonlight are showing that this is not over.
Not over at all, especially as Omega can continue capitalizing on some of those jumps away from FTWin. Sam taken down here as well. Suddenly Basil maybe has a little bit of room to work with. The strikes come out, forcing Basil away once, but even still, plenty of pressure is built up here for Moonlight. Booyah Bomb gets thrown down to beat Nolan, taken down inside of his own wall nearly. But in the interim, 3 members of FTWin go down. It's only Kyo alive, and Omega is starting to push the issue. Hexen drops, though, able to surprise Omega, and suddenly any momentum Moonlight might have had is squandered.
Light has at least a little bit of special presence here, though, from Nolan, and is going to be able to at least create some diversion. And the members of FTWin aren't doing too hot either. This is still just Scrap City, and someone needs to become the mayor, or else it is only going to be just continuous fighting execution mechanics, and I just don't know if Moonlight's going to be the one that's going to come out on top in that situation. Here comes Sam. This is exactly what we've been saying. The prodigy, the mechanics, the support that is needed to put this player on top. And this is exactly what FTWin has been able to do throughout the set.
Booyah Bomb thrown down to Basil allows for even more space for FTWin to continue getting bought. Sam gets taken down, but even still. Oh, actually, Biscuit jumps away. Maybe FTWin doesn't think that this one's going to hold out for much longer. Hexen tries to go for a pick onto Omega, not able to find the trade on the exit. Even still, Sam has just dove right back in, continues to be around here, continues to poke and keep Omega at an arm's length away, right exactly where the Splatoon wants it, and takes care of business. The Booyah Bomb gets thrown once more to the top side, right in front of where this tower passes through, and it looks like FTWin is really controlling the pace right now. Kyo in position, harassing Shadow on the front lines. Omega's trying to dive from behind, but FTWin knows that he's back there, and likely won't be much of a play at all, as Hexen has backed on away to engage with that. Meanwhile, Sam is on top here. Shadow comes all the way around. It's 3 down now for Moonlight. FTWin pushing to get back to Grand Finals. Go back up against PXG, exactly where they want to be. Booyah Bomb is out. Disperses Moonlight. They respond in just enough time to try to hold on top of this checkpoint, and it looks like they will, with both Joe and Hexen going down. But there is 1 minute and 45 seconds only remaining in this game. Moonlight has got to try to pick up the pace now, because to your point, Magic, the constant scrapping and mechanics seem to be going to the favor of FTWin.
And I just don't know if Moonlight is going to be able to compose themselves enough in the long run to do this with this short amount of time left. I feel it. I feel that their nerves are there, and that they're not playing consistently together, that they're not playing consistently with each other, that they're not activating what they need in their brains to feel like they can win this. They need to just come together right now, as the song implies, and focus and be in this moment without feeling those nerves.
Shadow throws the cooler, immediately goes down on top of the tower to a splat bomb. 50 seconds left to play. Nolan taken down with the Kraken as FTWin collapses. It's 3 down against Moonlight, and there's only a few members of FTWin still standing, but even still, they've got specials to their name, and they're ready to shut down any push and momentum that Moonlight might have in their tracks. They have to come up with a miracle play here, but it doesn't look likely at all.
Oh my gosh, Sam knew that Basil was there and was going to be eyeing for him, but ends up going down anyways. Hexen in the crab and is going to be trying to just put on the brakes for as long as they can. Kyo has strikes, and I believe that Basil knows that and is going to try and find the picks, and so is Omega. They're trying to dive forward to try and get any amount of presence they can, but here come the strikes from Kyo. That's a little bit early. I don't know about that one. This is 36 left for Moonlight. They need to try and get on the tower, but there's too many bombs. The echolocator goes down, the Wavebreaker goes down. The Rava Biscuit is able to at least get something there. The Booyah goes down. Rava's there. Everyone's there. Moonlight is not able to stay on. There was too much pressure from FTWin, and that is going to be dominance from FTWin one last time to send them to grand finals of SuperJump 6.
Once again, Moonlight. So close. So close. It looks like there's promise. It really does. And I genuinely think that this look for them is going to be better overall. But at the end of the day, you cannot rely on a push at the very end of the game with just how much can possibly get thrown towards that tower with the strikes, with the Booyah Bomb, with the rest of the other bombs that can just get thrown there. There was never a safe point to ride that tower at the end of the game. FTWin knew that, and the objective awareness secures it towards the very end. So don't read too much into that last little play. I really think what did Moonlight in was the 3 minutes of the stage, the first 3 minutes, where they just continued fighting, and there was never any setup push from either side, because to our point, right, we probably are thinking right now that for the most part, it is the members of FTWin that have the slight mechanical advantage in 1v1s or something of the sort. And if that's the case, they're probably going to come out on top. They did, in fact, come away with it.
Yeah, I need to